Guess who's back? Back again. Anyway, this video is about wanting more from life, right? Let me get up close and personal in your face and give you all some advice. Anyway, where do I begin? Where do I begin? Right, so people typically want grand things, they typically want a good life. They typically want things to go their way. They typically want to manifest this, want to pray for that, want to have this high status, want to have this grandiose image of themselves, right? But I often say, in order for a tree to be a tree, it must be a seed first, right? And I want to talk about it in this sense. You want this great life, right? Like, okay, a simple thing would be people want to be in relationships with people, right? Other people, right? So you want to be in a relationship, but you're not okay being single, right? You came into this world, even if you had a twin, your mind is your own. You're not okay sitting with your own mind, right? If you're not okay sitting with your own mind, how are you going to expect somebody else to sit with your mind with you? Simple as that, right? So again, go back to the analogy of a tree must be a seed first. If a tree isn't first a seed, then it cannot grow into, it cannot produce roots. And those roots cannot, if it does not produce roots, then it doesn't have a stable foundation to grow into, right? Right. If there are no roots for the tree, for the seed to dig into, then there is no grasp on, I'm trying to figure out how to word this for you. Then there is no grasp, no concept of where it is. Think of the roots like spreading into the ground, feeling into the dirt, figuring out where it is, right? The seed now knows it's in the dirt. And it might be like, oh, Israel, duh. But no. The simplest answers are in plain sight, right? Like, the tree is in the dirt. The seed is in the dirt. The roots spread in the dirt. It gets comfortable in the dirt. It gets confident is where it's at, right? It starts pulling in nutrition for a seedling to sprout, right? Now the seedling, different seedlings have, and I'm not a gardener, so I wouldn't know proper terminology, just bear with me, right? Would be in different layers of dirt, well, different depths. So let's say my fist is dirt, right? For example, so a seed might be this deep in the dirt. I might have to go through this amount of dirt in order to sprout up a little thing. Some might have to go through this, some might have to go through this, and some might have to go through this, right? The deeper the seed in the dirt, the more strength it will take to come to the light, right? It will have a longer journey, but it will have more strength and deeper roots. It will be less shaken by the wind, right? Not saying that a seed at this level can't grow either, but each level has its own use. Each seed will be at its own depth and in this type of soil that it needs to be in, right? So what I'm trying to say is that you want to be grand, but first you have to start off like this. You have to be okay with being this. You see the space between my palm? That little space there the light shines through? You have to be okay with being that first. So to come back to you wanting to be grand, it's like you say, alright, I'm tired living this way. I want to live this way. And then life goes, alright, you want to live this way? So you're gonna give you more of what you don't like, right? Because we're gonna see if you could really handle what you do want. Right? So if you want to have more love in your life, we're gonna give you more people that are gonna judge you and condemn you, and we're gonna test you in that way. Because you want more love in your life, well, be the change that you want. So you're gonna have some people just come at you, bam, 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 bam. You wanna love unconditionally, bam, 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 situation after situation. Alright. So then you start to dig you start to dig your feet in the soil, right? Alright, you root yourself. Alright, I want more love. This is not standing. Then that's one root code I'll be root. And then people who come in your life, you just start like, alright, I love you. No. Is that clear? Think of the people like the dirt, right? Think of this is the dirt and the root side of the dirt, just spreading it apart. And then you use gratitude. So gratitude will be, I'm thankful that this person was ignorant to me, because it gave me an opportunity to love them more. It gave me an opportunity to find love in a situation where there appears to be none, and bring and create that here, right? So people with, for example, diseases, who deal with health issues, right? So for me, for example, right, I have this on my neck here, and I've had these things for like all my life, right? Like, you can see the difference in pigmentation, and you can see it in my hairline. You know, my hand peels a lot. It literally hurts. I don't even have fingerprints on my hands sometimes. It just, my hand peels so fast. Like, you don't even know what it's like to not be able to, like, on this hand I could grab and feel stuff, but on this hand I literally could not for a while, just because of how much my skin was cracking and peeling. I could not feel anything. Anytime I would touch something, my hand would crack and it would burst and it would hurt, and it would just be like, the simple feeling of being able to touch something without pain is like, not being able to touch something is a greater pain, is a great pain in and of itself. So it's to show you, it showed me, right, that I value touch. I value being able to touch something safely. I value being able to touch something and being able to hold on to it instead of letting it slip through my fingers. You know, there's real life lessons I learn here. Like, this is not just about me holding something in my hand. Like, let me show you something. So, my stick, right? My left hand, I could hold it, like with my fingers, right? I could hold it, right? My right hand now, it's actually harder. You see it sticking, right? And I'm holding it. I'm holding it the same way, and it's slipping out my hand. But I value, it showed me how much I valued touch. Like, I value being able to hold on to things and express myself through things like that, in that sense, right? But not having fingerprints makes your hand smooth, so things slip through your hand, and it's like, well, the thing you value the most isn't here. So what do? You learn from it. You're grateful that, you know what, I know who I am. I value touch. I value sense. I value having myself in fullness. I value just the little things in life, or the ability to feel without pain. You know, the ability to love people without having them float away, in that sense. The ability to be present with something and feel it fully. That's things that I value within myself, you know. I mean, there comes a time when you need to let go of some things, but at the same time, I value touching it fully now. And if I can't touch it fully now, that's like one of my greatest pains, honestly. And, for example, like this on my hairline and these little things like this, that taught me I value my appearance. I value, like, the way I look. You know, I like the way I look. I don't want something to come in and F me up. Like, it taught me I value being healthy, and I value taking care of myself. It taught me to think about how to take care of myself, because I value that. It taught me about how to take care of other people, how to not stress myself out and how to not bring stress to other people and how to love them fully. Some people have big bags on the back that they carry and they walk in the journey and they're like, wow, I'm tired carrying this bag. Like I wish I could just put it down to rest. But you don't even realize that you've been carrying a heavy bag, so you must be really strong. And that strength is yours, but that teaches you that I don't want to use my strength to carry unnecessary things. I want to use my strength to go where I need to go. Somebody with cancer, for example, would just be sad that they think that they're gonna die, and it's like, no, learn that I value my life and I value loving people. I value being here and I value being around to see and feel and love my family. If I had this just from that perspective. And then it's like people were like, I want good relationships, but I get bad relationships. So then that teaches you, it's like, well, I value communication. I value seeing somebody and having them see me. I value love in between us. I value peace. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I value just blasted mosquitoes, man. I value just love. And on the whole, I value sharing moments, little things, and I value the kind things I do for them and they do for me. Something as simple as holding your partner's bag for them or opening a door for them just to see the smile on their face. Or something as simple as just telling them I love you because it makes them happy, and seeing them happy makes you happy. And when you're in bad relationships, you don't have those things, so you realize, oh, well, I value those things and I'm grateful for the lessons I learned. So where do I want to go? That doesn't mean you have to give up the relationship in your hands right now, because you might genuinely like that person. So what you could do is show love in that relationship to the highest degree that you can. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, you might just have to let them go. And I've had to let go of many people. So I know that it isn't easy, but I know it's something you have to do, because sometimes you have to let go of something you love. Sometimes you have to let go of something you think you love or something that you think is for you in order to see what is really for you, or see what can be for you, or what can come into your life, what great things that can come into your life. Because, for example, before I had gotten into my current relationship, there were many females that wanted me. And they were good females, but I just didn't feel for them the same way. And the relationships was going good, and I was just like, you know what, I just don't want it. I'm just not feeling it. And I had to let go of that. I let go of that, and something great came into my life. Not saying that those people weren't great, but they just weren't for me in that way, and I'm okay with that. Family issues. I'm familiar with that as well. So it's like, you want a good family. Well, what do you want to do for a good family? You want to run away? No, you just want to love your family. So you come in and you show love. That doesn't mean being a slave to them, by the way. Love doesn't mean being a slave. Let me tell you things that common misconceptions of love. Love isn't about sacrificing yourself. Love is not about material things. Love is not about creating a false image. Love is not prideful, right? Love is not greedy either, right? Love is not... I'm trying to think of some lessons I learned. Love is not scornful. Love is not controlling, Love is not just an emotion. It's more, it's deeper than that. Love is not changing yourself for another. Love is not like drugging yourself to feel a certain way. Love is not doing something to avoid another thing. You forget what I'm saying. Like love is not. Love can be okay. I'm not gonna walk in a dumb area, in an area where I know gangsters are to not get hit. But what I mean is that love is not running away from your problems. Like you're not gonna right. Okay. For example, you may not want to be super skinny, so you end up overeating and get super fat. That's running away from your problems. You know. Love is like take care of yourself, like know yourself, accept yourself, learn yourself. And the best way I could say love is really just accepting yourself, because when you accept yourself is that then you see all your false definitions of things. It's like you see all your definitions of love, and then you start to realize, well, those things are not love, and you could let go of that, and then you realize love is just about being you, presently and fully, and accepting that even if you made a mistake. And then when you do that, you can move forward, because it's like when you accept that you are here, that you may be in a bad situation, then you know, okay, I'm in a bad situation. What is going on? My family's getting on this way. Maybe let me try to understand them, show them love, okay? But I can't try for somebody who's not willing to try for themselves. Like I would not try for somebody who's not willing to try for themselves. Like if you have to continuously tell somebody, hey, this is not love, I want to be like this is not love and you are hurting me continuously, then stop trying for that person. Just let them go. Like seriously, you just want to hurt yourself. And sometimes you may miss that person, and sometimes you may be like, I wish it could be better, but that person isn't willing to try. So it's not your duty, right? Love is not changing people either to fit your molds. Love is not changing yourself to fit other people's molds. Love is not people pleasing. Just some things I could think of off the top of my head, because all my videos are freestyle, by the way. I don't plan these videos, I just have a title in my head and I talk based off my knowledge. Love is without judgment. You know? Simple things. Love isn't hurting somebody. Love isn't pain. So those things teach you about what love is not, and then you learn what love is not, so then you can move to what love is. You know? That's again, you're just like, you're this small, so then you just grow. Just need to grow. Nobody said grow fast. Each fruit bears at its own time. Nobody said you have to grow at super speed. Take your time. Be present with yourself. Know what you don't want, and then you naturally know what you want. You know? You're looking for more in life. Be grateful for what you have. So, if you're poor and you could only eat one meal a day, be grateful for that one meal you could eat a day. Because you could be eating no meals a day and you could start die of starvation. Simple as that. You know, an example I had in mind was I remember my friend in secondary school when we were like 15 or 16. He was like, he gave a homeless man a box of food, right? And the homeless man watched him and say, this all? He didn't put any sauce on the food or something like that. And my friend took back his food and started eating it in front of his face. It's like, be grateful for what you have, because the food that you got and get now could lead to food. It could lead to one plate of food that you get now could nourish you to lead you to having feasts with kings. Just saying. But people don't think like that. People say, oh, it's only one plate of food, but I want that. No. That one plate of food I have now could just give me enough energy to get to the next plate of food tomorrow. And then that plate of food tomorrow could lead me to the opportunity I need to talk to. Maybe I might fall in love with a princess. It's just fictional scenarios I create in here, but that plate of food tomorrow, right? It could make me fall in love with a princess, and that princess could take me into her castle. Just as simple as that. Just you know, but in a just my crazy like imagination just going off here. But like you could be in a shitty job only eating one meal a day, and then that one plate of food you had could lead you to inventing something that makes you rich. Just saying, those feelings that you had of weightlessness, those very feelings that you had of powerlessness, of being too small, of not being in your purpose, not being aligned, those very feelings are the very feelings that carry you, that can show you the way to being where you want to be. It's like when I used to work in construction, right, I had to dig deep holes. I had to dig for like there were days I just spent digging. But each strike of my tool led to the shaping of what needed to be shaped out in that sense. You know? If I need to dig a trench in a certain height and depth, certain width and depth, and I started on flat ground, then you might feel like you might just feel like, oh, you hit the ground. But the trench ain't up here, but each strike makes more of the trench up here, even if it just starts with a 1-inch hole. That's 1 inch added to the trench being built. But people don't see it that way. People see it as, oh, the ground is hard. No. Hit. And then, somebody might, or you might have an idea, somebody might say and be like, wait, boy, that tool ain't efficient. Let me get you a jackhammer. And you're like, oh yeah, jackhammer, you go. And you're like, yeah, and then somebody might be like, wait, that jackhammer too inefficient, but that hole too big for you. They bring an excavator. But you wouldn't have gotten the excavator if you didn't start digging the hole. Just saying. I'm just saying, Don't be okay being small. Like, only today I realized it's like, I was complaining about my body not being perfect, about these little things, because these things itch a lot, right? Because I used to have really bad asthma and be in the hospital too. I used to be complaining about that, like, but I could have been not here. So thank you, body. Thank you, Israel, for even though you itched, even though you couldn't breathe and was in the hospital, each breath that you fought to take led you to be here, and each breath that you fought to take led your body to be stronger, and each breath that you fought to take led you to think in new ways, and it led me to be here, and led me to be grateful for what I have right now, and to be able to embrace my body for where it's at, because I could be on a hospital bed weighing 10 pounds dying, just saying, but I'm not. So thank you, body, for being here, for standing, for making this video, for bringing this energy through. So other people might be like, I don't want to make videos because I don't have a perfect friggin' camera. But you have a shitty camera. Like, my camera is just a phone camera that I have propped up on my windowsill in the night, outside. But each video I record is a video added to my channel, and is a new perspective dropped, and I know that eventually I'll have my own shit like that. So it doesn't even matter, because it's done already. What's done is done. I'm just living out the past. Just you need to start somewhere. And that somewhere is different for everybody. I hope you got the message. Leave a comment to let me know if you have any advice to give me, or if you have any questions to ask. And reach out in the comments. I'd gladly contact you. I'd gladly contact you and talk to you. Much love, my family. I love you always and always.